The catastrophe of the century is about to happen. Something considerably worse than the Great Depression is about to unfold. And it will all happen in the next 4 years, an event that will bring the entire banking system down, allowing us to rewire the way the world works. Let me clarify if you believe I'm scaring you. The more history you read, the more dubious you become of the government. Democracy and liberty are uncommon types of government, but monarchy and dictatorship are prevalent. Humans are imperfect by nature, and power is frequently exploited as a result. Understanding this is crucial to comprehending the remainder of the video. But first, please accept my warmest greetings if this is your first visit to our Smart Stocks Academy channel. To be the first to know when a new video like this is released, hit the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell next to it. So if you're ready, let's get to the topic. Our global financial system today operates on the assumption of fair prices. Capitalism is based on the premise that in an open market, supply and demand would compete until a fair and respected price is reached. However, the entire system is broken as a result of fiat money. Inflation occurs when governments print more and more money. Although a dollar was still a dollar in 1900, its purchasing value has dwindled dramatically as the government has chosen to print trillions of dollars over the years. Because the value of the dollar is increasing, each dollar buys less and less. People soon learn that their money isn't delivering them the return they anticipate in every single example of this throughout history, and the value is organically wiped to a proper level. Every global recession or depression has been triggered by too much money being invested in investments that can't support the quantity of money that is floating about inside of them. Consider the financial crisis of 2008. It is no secret that the middle class standard of living in the West has been declining since 1973, but no one seems to notice. As an invisible tax, it essentially covered the entire country. Too much money poured into the property market, and as I previously stated, the money pool finally grew. Keep in mind that the economy is a huge network of ridiculous intricacy. Money must move throughout it in order for it to function properly, but a simple adjustment to a single variable can have far-reaching consequences. It is called the chaos theory. Single change to the system has a cascading effect on the others. This is why the American housing market has the potential to fall, bringing down the global economy with it. Which brings us to today's world. Modern economics supposes that the manner things seem to be going since World War II is the complete norm, but history shows that this is an outlier of a system. Despite the fact that it is contentious, many individuals believe that today's modern economic system is based on a flimsy foundation of odd assumptions. When you understand how finance works, you realize that the system only has one way out, and it is going to be a disaster. Globalization is at the base of the problem, and I don't believe that it was done on purpose or with a plan in mind. Rather, it is an issue that evolved from something that appears to be a good idea at that time. As time goes on, more and more countries begin to compete, and everyone is outbidding everyone else. The French are now competing with the Poles, who can do much of the same work for much less money, and they are being gouged by Bulgarians who can do it for even less money. The Chinese are under the same strain as the Americans. The Chinese are now competing with Venezuelans willing to work for pennies on the dollar. This entire system has now resulted in a major reduction in worldwide poverty levels. The last century has lifted billions of people out of poverty, yet there is an equal and opposite reaction to every action. This means that competitiveness in the first world countries has become razor thin. Almost every single statistic in relation to ordinary middle-class life in the West has either remained constant or decreased since the 1970s. Now that the countries have realized the problem, they have fixed it by printing a lot of money and putting themselves in a ridiculous amount of debt. Money printing does result in a short-term increase in wealth. It is a wonderful substance that politicians in particular are addicted to. There is no better example than March 2020, when the economy was rescued by a tremendous injection of cash, and the economy was preserved on paper. Within a year, we went from looking like the whole thing was about to implode to a new all-time high, but the long-term impacts, like all medications, are considerable and even deadly. This type of money injection economic miracle creates the impression that the government is assisting. Sure, the $1,000 payment from the White House appeared to be a wonderful deal, but what's the point when the property prices rise by hundreds or thousands of dollars in a year? Since 2008, the US has kept interest rates at zero, and few people realize the magnitude of this effect. In the economic realm, the rate is essentially gravity. It'll be like staging a high jump competition at the moon if you set it to zero. Previous records are meaningless, in this case, because the circumstances have fundamentally changed. This is why today's market is in a big bubble by every conceivable metric. And when experts come out and speak about these crazy readings, they get worse and worse, since they are being compared to an era when interest rates were reasonable. The government can make it appear as if the economy is humming along at zero. How difficult is it to earn money when every company on the planet can borrow billions at almost no risk, raise the interest rate to 10%, and watch as the majority of these high-flying tech names go bankrupt overnight? We have the illusion of an economy right now, but this isn't unique to the United States, and it is one of the reasons why people rationalize their actions. First world countries all over the world are following the same policies and have debt levels that are much greater than the United States. Normally, printing this much money results in currency depreciation, but that is not the case today. In fact, the US dollar has stayed relatively stable in comparison to other major currencies, owing to the fact that everyone is in the same boat. There isn't a single big country on the planet that isn't running deficits, printing money, or implementing quantitative easing. This is nowhere to flee to. But the main reason we've been able to get away with it thus far is that the US dollar is a global reserve currency. When Saudi Arabia trades with Egypt, it does so in dollars, not reals. This increases demand for the dollar outside the United States. It is the go-to currency in international trade, which has a lot to do with the reality that the United States practically governs the globe. The US dollar is thought to be the most stable currency. People are lining up to convert anything to a US dollar, since it is the go-to currency for stability in Lebanon, where the Lebanese pound is failing. There aren't any viable competitors. China and Russia are two instances of authoritarian regimes with insecure legal and judicial systems. The European Union is destroyed, and there are few options in the rest of the world. However, Americans have developed a false sense of security as a result of this beneficial circumstance. For years, they have misused their position. Just look at a chart of the national debt to see how much we've manufactured money to fix all kinds of phony problems. Do you ever wonder how we came up with the $1 trillion to battle in Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years? Or how we handed out checks to every American in 2020? And we didn't pay for it with taxes. We merely printed it in the hopes that it would not depreciate our currency. It works today, but when the rest of the world realizes it is being utilized, the repercussions will be disastrous. Any form of a dollar crisis would send the currency in a downward spiral. Even a light competition that instills a sense of confidence in people would suffice as a stimulus. Many people are starting to invest in alternative currencies like Bitcoin, and others are putting large sums of money into China. Ray Dalio, for example, is a clear example of a billionaire who believes that despite its erratic government policies, China offers a safe option. Listen to this interview tape as Dalio mumbles and fumbles while attempting to explain why he believes the PRC has a bright future.
One of the quick questions I just want to ask you on China, though, is clearly there's human rights issues. There's questions right now about this Chinese tennis player, Peng Shuai. There have been questions about Jack Ma. How do you think about that piece of it when it relates to investing there?
Well, I can't be an expert in those types of things. What I basically do, and for 50 years I invest all over the world, I look to whatever the rules are. If the government has a policy that I should do a certain thing and so on, but I can't be an expert in all of those particular dynamics of that. I really have no idea. So the guidance of the government is the most important thing. It's these are political. It's like, and then I look at the United States and I say, well, what's going on in the United States, and should I not invest in the United States because other things and not our own human rights issues or other things, And I'm not trying to make political comparisons. I'm basically just trying to follow the rules, understand what's going on, and invest properly in line with those rules.
You recognize, I think that what's going on in the United States, and there are things that happen in the United States that I don't agree with, that I imagine you don't agree with, but I think that those things are different than some of the things we see happening in China. People aren't, the government isn't disappearing people.
Finally, what is expressed is straightforward. The future is bound to be chaotic. When you make something, you may either design it to be flexible, allowing it to adapt to future conditions, or you can design it to be destroyed by something you couldn't foresee. The dollar is no exception to this norm, and I doubt there is anyone who does not believe we are abusing our global position. Printing trillions of dollars to fund ever-increasing programs is an addiction that will not be broken until we reach the point of no return. With the current state of affairs, there is no reason to believe that this catastrophe will not occur soon. We've witnessed house prices soar by 20% in the last year, wages spiraling out of control, a collapsing supply chain, and a market obsessed with exuberance. Massive changes are on the way, and as stated in this video, a system founded on a house of cards where money is irrelevant and can be manufactured with the touch of a key cannot endure. And with that, today's video comes to a close. To express your love and support for the video, click the like button below if you haven't already. Also, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell next to it to be the first to know when a new video is posted. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and we hope you enjoyed yourself. We look forward to seeing you again soon.